Hello, my name is Dr. Deborah Bauer, and I'm Executive Director of the Seminole Cultural Arts Council.
And I'm Bennett Lloyd. I'm coordinator at the Museum of Seminole County History.
And we'd like to welcome you to celebrating 250 years of Seminole County history in honor of the American semi-quincentennial anniversary in 2026.
So what is Seminole 250?
So Seminole 250 is something that is the result of a lot of planning going all the way back 10 years, because 10 years ago the U.S. Congress realized that we had a really major anniversary coming up for the United States, and that our country, the founding of our country, was turning 250 years old. It was founded in the year 1776. And that is a plan that trickled down from the federal level to the state level, and then from the state level to here in Seminole County. And so Seminole 250 is a plan that we've come up with to figure out how to best commemorate, educate, and talk about why 250 years of history is important for the residents today.
So why is it important to us here locally?
So I think one of the things that comes to mind first is that when people think about history in Seminole County, they have a tendency to think that our history only goes back to the 1800s. They have these images of these battles of Camp Monroe, the conflicts with the Seminole Indians, settlers at places like Sanford, Mellonville, Fort Reed, but in actuality our history goes back a lot further. Our history goes back all the way to the 1760s, 1770s, and that's really where our story begins from the perspective of colonies.
Getting to colonies, so Florida was a colony, was it not? It was a British colony. It had been turned over by the Spanish at the end of the French and Indian War. Can you tell us what happened when England acquired Florida in 1763?
So a lot of times people think that there are only 13 colonies when they think of what's American colonial history. And in fact, what is true is that there were actually 15 colonies altogether. The 14th colony was East Florida, the 15th colony was West Florida. And they're often forgotten out of the narrative because they are the only colonies that actually stayed loyal to the British Crown, where you had their 13 big brothers and sisters declare their patriot loyalty and independence in 1776. East and West Florida decided to remain loyal.
When England takes Florida, let's backtrack a little bit. When England takes Florida and gets a hold of it, what does the Crown do?
Well, the first thing they want to do is what I think any person who's just gotten a new piece of property wants to do. They want to know what's there. And so the governor at the time, the first appointed governor of East Florida, was a Scotsman by the name of General James Grant. And Grant recruited, because if you're going to need to figure out what's there, you have to find someone who's good at making maps and surveying. And so he recruits this gentleman by the name of William Gerard de Brom. And de Brom comes to St. Augustine, and in 1765, he creates this map that is what we think is the first map of, actually, it's the first surveyed map of Seminole County.
And how do you get down here?
He actually traveled along the coast, all the way from St. Augustine, along the seashore, and then landed just off the coast of Brevard, and then came ashore and started traveling into what we would think of as modern-day Seminole County at Lake Harney. And he created this map that was really important for people to understand where they were going, how they were going. But wasn't there something more important? Like, didn't people need to know other things?
Well, yeah. So it's good to know where things are, but of course you also need to know what is there. For that, they sent the Bartrams down, John and William Bartram. John Bartram was appointed as the royal botanist for North America.
What does that mean? What is a naturalist?
Well,
what were they?
So they were studying the plants and animals that were here, with an eye, of course, for the Crown as to what we can exploit, what can we pull out of here, or what can we grow here. And so they're trying to figure out what they can use in a mercantilist sense from Florida to make a profit for the British government. John Bartram comes down in 1765. He comes to Lake Monroe and Lake Jesup, but he takes a different route. He comes down the St. Johns River. And his son William later on also comes down the St. Johns River during his 1772 expedition. So can you give us a preview of what we're going to be talking about a little later?
So the one thing that I think is really important for people to understand is the history of Seminole County is a lot more complicated than people realize. While people were very familiar with how people were signing the Declaration of Independence in Philadelphia in 1776, or the battles of Lexington and Concord in Boston, Massachusetts, there were people on the ground in East Florida at the same time living their lives, and part of that is what is today Seminole County history, because their story is our story. We'll be learning about that in future segments. We invite you to tune in and learn more about what makes Seminole 250 important for the residents who work and play in Seminole County's natural choice.